Coming up on this episode of Katlego Pioneering Podcast.
Africa is for Africans, and you must not be fooled that the ill-gotten land will be returned freely so. That is why we must fight. If they do not want to give our land back through the system that they are using in parliament, then we are going to get it forcefully. Even if it means we have to die, let us die. We are clear on that program. We must always strive to ensure that we are voting, so that at the end of the day, we are the one to say we need change there and there and there. Or rather, let me make an example about TUT. TUT, after the death of Katlego Monareng in Soshanguve, was shot by police, right? After the death, some comrades were taken to disciplinary action, and now they are out of the system. They cannot register, they are suspended. But now the question is, how did the university suspend Dr. Moraga and Gugu Xaba and continue to suspend comrades? Now, why are they still holding suspension of that one? This thing is systematic. There's no true socialist revolution without the liberation of women. Train a woman, train a nation.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Katlego Pioneering Podcast, where I am in conversation with Jacob Tautone. He is a student and political activist as well as a PAC member. Throughout our conversation, we talk about why you should vote. An important election is upon us. On May the 8th of 2019, we will be going to the polls as South Africans to execute our right to, for an opportunity for everyone to choose which party and president is their preferred candidate to lead the country for the next 5-year term going forward. In our conversation, we explore the subject of voting in the South African context. We noticed that due to corruption and the failure of our political leaders to deliver services to the people on the ground, and these are the people they claim to represent up there, there is now a lot of discontent with politicians and political parties among the South African society. Most people are now resorting to not taking part in elections by not voting, I assume because they hope this will result in those politicians in incumbent losing power, and this will somehow signal to them their dissatisfaction in service delivery or lack thereof. So I asked Tautone, are these people justified to express their discontent in this way? Does that not have the complete reverse effect of what is intended by that action? What does it do to the current or the state of governance in the country at this time or at that particular time of election?
Yes, on the general. I am going to be brief about it on a general because now we need to understand the categories of people in political parties or behind political parties. We have the sympathizers, we have the followers, and we have the fans. Right. Now, the sympathizers are those people who no longer want to take part in politics, right? But they would rather vote for a party because the other party has dealt with the interests of the dispossessed masses of the particular country. Understand? So now, what needs to be done in terms of ensuring that people are voting? We need to implement programs whereby before elections we are going to every corner, post to post, we are telling people the importance of voting, because it is through voting that the needs of the dispossessed masses of Azania, South Africa, in brackets, are going to be met. Because every decision now, it is taken in parliament. Now it is important. Yes, by politicians. Now it is important that our people, it is important that whenever you speak to a person, you convert a person psychologically before you can try to convert the person otherwise. Because now in the current politics, we are facing an issue of people going for material condition and material gain, but not for what they are supposed to work for, which is the interest of the masses. That is why in the PAC we are saying, and we are very much not apologetic about it, we are saying in PAC, masses are their own liberators. Leaders of the masses are the vanguards, are the security of that masses in terms of ensuring that the masses are getting whatever that they are bargaining for.
Right. So in essence, people must vote because only them can empower themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Power comes from the people on the ground. People who are on the ground are the ones that knows the suffering of the ground.
Right.
Not their leaders. The leaders are just there to represent the views of their constituencies.
And then it is up to society to choose people who will represent and enforce their views and fight for their views and their struggles in parliament. It is up to the society to choose those people through voting.
Yes, son of the soil.
So essentially deciding not to vote as the complete reverse effect of what they intend, these people. So does it not voting, deciding not to vote and then decreasing the number of people that take part in the polls, what effect does it have on the state of governance in South Africa? Does it have any impact at all?
Yes, it plays a very pivotal role. To an essence that if you are not voting, the number is decreasing.
Right.
The other party that is for material gain is going to be into power because of they were able to convince people with material material things. Yes.
T-shirts.
Like your food parcels, your T-shirts, your grocery for only that period of voting.
Yeah, elections.
And then because we are hungry in South Africa, we are going to vote for those people, not because we wanted to vote. That is why I'm saying, when you convert the person, convert them psychologically first.
Right. And
you
then
tell the person what you are about, what you represent, and what you are going to do for them.
Right. No, I think that view is very clear. But we see most political parties now coming up with policies, and in their manifestos, they seem to be more appealing to the youth. They use phrases like free education for all, free this. So things that are appealing to the youth. In your observation, do you think these parties are now beginning to target the youth as the demographic to give them a boost in the 2019 national elections?
John, one thing that we need to learn, as in when we read, we come across writings of people saying every generation has its own fight, its own mission, and it must always ensure that the missions are fulfilled and the fight is won. Right. So we must always, irrespective of what the current leaders in parliament are doing, we must always strive to ensure that we are voting.
Right.
Yes. So that we at the end of the day, we are the one to say we need change there and there and there. But
is it fair for parties like the ANC to use the case of Bonginkosi Kanyile and those fees must fall activists who were charged for their participation in the fees must fall movement to say, we are saying the president must give them presidential pardons? They are actually using that as a tactic to sort of appeal more to the youth, so that the youth can say, the ANC is for the youth, they are fighting for us. And then is that a fair play, according to you?
It cannot be a fair play. Because now, remember, those comrades were fighting a noble cause.
Right.
They were fighting for a noble cause. And in some universities, the fees have decreased. In some universities, like the University of the Western Cape.
Right.
CPUT, rather. CPUT, they scrapped the fees after that revolution that we had in 2015. I was partaking there.
Fees must fall.
So, but it is not fair because now, they were charged for a noble cause. If ANC or if any other party. Per se, they want to claim hegemony on that level, then they must ensure that the charges are dropped for every comrade who was participating in the Fees Must Fall movement, because they are going to use it as a form of gaining numbers in the election ballot. Yes. I am, even myself, it does not sit well with me.
Yeah, you think they should get those presidential pardons?
Yes, those people should be treated well. They are normal societies, because at the end of the day, as much as we are fighting as student leaders, We are fighting for a noble cause. And the people that we are fighting for, or rather, let me make an example about TUT.
Right.
TUT, after the death of Katlego Monareng in Soshanguve, was shot by police, right? After the death, some comrades were taken to disciplinary action, and now they are out of the system. They cannot register, they are suspended. But now the question is, this is systematic. The question now is, how did the university suspend Prof. Dr. Moraka and Gugu Xaba?
The
If they did not,
DVC and the
yes,
director of student life and
governance, continue to suspend comrades. It realizes that
I
we
never
are
thought
wrong.
about it that way, and
It realizes, the university realizes that they are wrong, right? By suspending these two, because at some point they must be accountable.
Right.
Now, why are they still holding suspension of that one? This thing is systematic. System is always going to deal with issue the way it was meant to deal with issues.
I will have to look into this on a more deeper level. I never thought about it until you were mentioning it now, and yeah, it does make very little sense. It makes very little sense. But however, let's continue with the issue of voting. A new voter, an 18-year-old who will be voting for the first time, what should they consider when going to the ballot in deciding which party they are going to vote for? And I would like for you to tell me which party you're going to vote for yourself and why. What do you see in that party?
Commander Lamachun.
Right.
I'm from the Pan-Africanist Congress Movement of Azani. It's the PAC. I'm going to vote for the PAC. I'm proud. Even if at the end of the day we're coming out weak in terms of numbers who voted.
Right.
But still it's fine. I'm going to vote for it.
You believe
now,
in
when
this?
When you are voting, you must always vote as a person for the political party that is going to liberate the masses. You heard when I was speaking, I was saying masses are their own liberators, but they need an organization that is going to ensure that they liberate themselves through leadership. Now, when you are choosing a political party, you sit down, you think about it. Yes, you can listen to manifestos and everything, but now history. When we are speaking about history, we are speaking about in politics.
Yes.
We are speaking about the history whereby everything has unfolded before, and now it's in the past.
Yes.
You consider those things to say, okay, we gave.
So, in other words, the outcomes of actions that were taken before by politicians.
Yes, historic materialism. You check, we gave ANC an opportunity. What did they do? If they serve the masses, then you vote for ANC.
It's up to you.
Yes, because they are serving their masses with pride. If PAC liberate the masses, then you vote for PAC. If EFF liberated the masses, then you vote for the EFF. Because at the end of the day, it's not about political parties.
You sound like you're
T-shirt
open
and
to
colours.
be convinced to vote for another party. So if another party comes with better proposals than the PAC, you're open to that fact. Yeah, look, if it does seem that indeed the ANC, for instance, their programs are more progressive than the PAC, you're open to be convinced. You're a liberal on that one.
Yes, General. But I would advise everyone to vote for the PAC.
Right.
Because in the PAC, we do not believe in the Freedom Charter. We're not charterists. We are saying the land first and everything shall follow. Because with the land, we have everything. And when we are saying the land, General, we are speaking about even minerals and resources. Natural resources also.
That is a beautiful segue into my next question, actually. You're saying the VAC, they are about the bettering of the whole society, not about themselves.
Yes.
But then otherwise, from these other parties, the ANC especially, we have a beautiful picture and thesis to draw from what they have done over the years. Why does it seem to me like they're in it for themselves? The minister, the president, the decisions they take in that position, they stand to benefit from them all the time. Do you think they actually care about the people, or is it simply about enjoying the benefits, their salary, their power and status, and there are other sinister motives such as earning profits from corrupt acts, such as we know our president benefited from Bosasa contracts in some ways. So Do they actually want to serve the people most of them, or is it just a job where they want to get a salary?
I'm going to be fair with you on that one, right? There's what we call in politics a factional discipline, and it brings about factions. And currently, the leaders who are into parliament, they have decided to become to have factions,
Right.
which is the enemy of solidarity and unity of action, right?
So it becomes difficult to take action.
It becomes difficult for you
when you're
when
divided.
you're coming from other faction to benefit. And then in that order, the people who are leading us, they are unfair because they are only in it for themselves. They are not for the people. That is why they only remember people when elections are close, whereby they will even give you a contract of cutting grasses, whereby they will even come giving handouts to people. But forgetting that now, from here, after our masses have voted for us, it's not about us, it's about our masses.
We have to deliver our promises.
Yes, our masses in South Africa are suffering.
Very much.
But now, it is up to them. Even on the question of the land, I'll give it to you. Even on the question of the land, we are a majority as Africans in parliament. Why don't they just go to call a constitutional review it and put a counter law to the law that they have to say the land must go back to the people?
No, but we do have those ones who Musiwa Lokota, who are siding with what I would refer to as white organizations like AfriForum, who would obviously vote against that undertaking. So that would be difficult, wouldn't it?
He is going to vote under that thing because he's benefiting from that nonsensical idea, if I may put it.
Yes.
Because the moment
I agree, by the way.
moment you're going to say the land must not go back to its rightful owners, then you don't understand politics. Because the land ultimately belongs to, in Africa. Africa is for Africans.
True.
And you must not be fooled that the ill-gotten land will be returned freely so. That is why we must fight. If they do not want to give our land back through the system that they are using in parliament, then we're going to get it forcefully. Then even if it means we have to die, let us die, for as long as it's for a noble cause. We are clear on that program. So comrades are going to sell out, yes. Comrades are going to snitch in the revolution, yes. We understand. But now we're saying, as in when we're snitching, think about the generations to come. Within your bloodline, how are they going to survive on this land without owning it?
It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be very much difficult because you'll find white people coming. Like now, as Pan-Africanist, we are saying, and we fully support Malema, because Malema, in fact, we are not supporting Malema. Malema is supporting us, and then he's speaking better about it in parliament.
I can't disagree with that.
He has power, right? He has power on the issue that things must belong to the state. Ne?
Nationalism.
Yes, nationalism. Now, ShopRite must not have a building here in South Africa if it is not built by an African or owned by an African. ShopRite must rent a building in South Africa because it's not owned by a South African or an African.
Right.
Because now, at the end of the day, the profit that they get, they are taking to their countries. And now our economy is suffering.
It's dwindling.
Yes. But if it was someone, if the buildings and everything were owned by the state, now the economy was going to be flexible. Yes.
Yeah. No, I cannot disagree with that. I think the writing has been there in terms of the PAC coming up with it first, but then the EFF they just sort of, I don't know how to say this, but the influence, so they just approached it with much more zest, if you will, much more influence, much more power, and forcing it. So otherwise, I wanted to ask this as my last question, but the PAC and the people in the PAC wholly believe that the name of this country should be changed to Azania. Are you of the same view as a PAC member?
I'm of the same view. Because now when you're saying South Africa, South Africa is a geographical location.
That is
South
true.
Africa used to be called Azani.
But
now, white people came, Caucasians came into our
but we're
country.
having
when they
difficulty
were
with finding that in writing, in terms of history writing, that this country was indeed called Azania in the past. So
It is not difficult to get it. That the country was called Azani, and it's Azani.
Yeah, it's just a
South
matter
Africa
of
is
making a
Azani.
bit more effort, making a bit more research, and
Now,
because
when
of-
people came with their colonialism and colonial borders, they divided us. And when they divided us, they called everything according to how they wished to call it within our land, after stealing our land.
and then they named places Grahamstown, and with the naming you can hear obviously that these are names of the English and the Europeans and those kinds of people.
Yes, because now they're into power.
Right.
They always ensured that everything should be about them, not about the true citizens, sons and daughters of that soil.
So do you, as a voter, one of your hopes in voting for the PAC, if they do win the national elections next year, would you go back to remind them that, hey, we should change the name back to Azania?
That is, it's a common cause to us.
Oh, right.
Because
It's
as a
one of the first
Pan-Africanist-
things that you do when you get to office, to union buildings.
Yes, that is why we're even saying we're Pan-Africanist Student Movement of Azani.
Right, PASMA.
We're Pan-Africanist Congress of Azani. And then even APLA, our military wing, is Azania People Liberation Army. It's Azania. It's not about South Africa. Now South Africa, I don't know it. I don't care about South Africa because South Africa is a geographical location. I only care about Azania.
Interesting. Now, for someone who has lost hope in good governance, in quotation marks, someone who has been living in a squatter camp since 1994 or before then even, why should they vote in next year's elections? And should they vote the PAC? The same messages that we're seeing being sent around, they were sent around in 1994 and prior that. So why should they be interested in voting?
Everyone should be
They've been
interested.
getting promised change and it's just not coming. So
You see, in life, you'll never understand my capabilities until you give me an opportunity to display my capabilities to you. So now, people must vote for PAC because PAC is going to bring changes into South Africa. And the first thing that we're going to start with, as Africans, we want to have what we call democratic centralism as an approach to every problem that we are facing.
democratic centralism.
Democratic centralism.
Essentially means I don't think I've come across the term before.
Yes, democratic centralism is a system that whenever decisions are taken, they are going to come from the masses, and then one is going to decide. After they're coming from the masses, one is going to implement.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
So
an example,
everyone is the same.
For an example, in
in-
TUT, we are using democratic centralism.
Right.
When you are merging university and you have one a rector or a vice chancellor, when you're having many
Campuses.
in every decision that you're taking, you are using democratic centralism as a system.
Yeah, because there's that one person leading at the forefront. And then,
Yes.
yeah. All right.
And then we want, as PAC, we want a United States of Africa. Like the president of Muammar Gaddafi. Like once Muammar Gaddafi once said, to say we must have a central currency in Africa and become the republic, become
The United States.
a United States of Africa. We have one president.
That will take some doing.
It won't take anything much. The only thing that needs to be done is for leaders to sit, have serious caucuses,
And come to an agreement.
And write it on a paper in a constitution. Because
And
now
now African leaders seem to be very divided on many views, and it's going to be a difficult one because they don't want to come together. We have the issue of tribalism, xenophobia, these phobias, and they're just very
on
difficult.
that note, General. On that note, political leaders can never come close. Can never come close. That is why it is even taking time for us to be reaching things that we need and things that must be for the masses, in the interest of the masses. They will never get close because they like factions, and they even lack factional discipline. Those people who lack factions. We will never have a state whereby everyone is going to agree.
Right.
Because they do not want to agree. Not because we don't want them to agree. And one thing,
But we're talking about
many political parties.
very many.
That is why, if you go to other countries, you are going to see that they only have 2 political parties contesting each other. But in South Africa, we have many parties. How do we then come to a conclusion whereby now we are working together?
No.
Because everyone is coming with a different view.
Some
Some others, whenever they try to speak, they're howling.
right.
Some are intellectuals.
Yeah, but
Some are in it for material gain.
But what do you have to say about the fact that in the PAC, for instance, we have 2 presidents for the party? Then where does the sign? Where are the signs of democratic centralism in that case?
Those are misguided sentiments, I must tell you. There's only one president of the PAC, which is President Narias Moloto. Even yes, we had our differences in the organization.
All right.
President Narias Moloto took them to court. He was granted by court the order of leading the PAC.
The PAC.
Yes, we only have one, as much as we have our own problems in the revolution.
Are you united now heading up to elections?
No, we're not united. We can never be united because they do not want us to be united. There are people who are even infiltrating student politics through these factions of them, and they want us to choose where do we go. General, this is my clear view to you. I do not care about factions and everything. I just wanted a united Pan-Africanist movement of Azani.
Right.
I'm not a factionalist myself.
Yeah.
But should I decide to become a factionalist, I can become a dangerous factionalist. But I don't want factionalists because they are the reason why we are even losing elections. Yes. Which is wrong.
Understood. On a parting note, do you think the legal voting age as it stands at 18 years old is fair as it is? There have been propositions that it must be reduced to 16 at least. What is your view on that? Do you think it's okay as it is, or?
General, I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to disagree on that one. But I'm going to place what I have on the table. The legal voting age is fine if it's 18. Because now at least you are responsible, you know what you are doing. But now there's someone.
But a 16-year-old can have a child.
Yes,
if they decide
there's
to.
someone who would come and argue to say, but like there's a boy who was busy asking questions in Parliament. He was not even 16.
He was very young.
But the boy is intelligent.
Yeah.
So now this is what must happen in the country. Kids must start to learn politics from their kindergarten levels in schools. Kids must have their own parliament, and adults must have their own parliament. Because now we are not going to have an issue whereby, as a kid, you are going to see President Malema arguing with President Moloto and going out of context. And when you speak, you must respect.
No,
they are not equals in terms of age.
Yeah.
Now it's going to create a serious animosity in Parliament, whereby a 12-year-old is going to tell the president of the country that they are lying. Then there's no discipline.
That would be an insult.
That would be an insult. Pela, we're Pan-Africanist. We must strive by all means
To unite.
To unite, yes, and to respect.
Right.
Pela, people are raping. That is a disrespect. People are thugs. They are stealing. It's a disrespect. Pela, a child must be taught to respect. And a child who respects is a child who's going to be responsible. And it's a child who has values. You understand, Mafrik?
Yeah.
Now, when you have those things, you are able to reason. We don't want to see people howling in parliament because they are just wasting the time and the resources of the country. We want to see engagement where people are going to sit
Constructive engagements.
and engage on ideological matters. Not this thing of the other one is just going to speak nonsense and then people must take it. Where are we taking our country if those things are happening?
Yeah, it's just a waste of time,
Our
ultimately.
country, the status quo must change at some point. And the status quo cannot be changed by howlers.
Must be changed by think tanks, and
Yes.
people who,
It must be changed. But how do you change it when you have howlers in parliament? It's a problem.
very big problem.
Yes, people must learn to engage ideologically.
Yeah.
Come with strategies. Sit, irrespective of political affiliation. If we're in parliament, it's like in the SRC of the university. When you're in the SRC, as much as you're deployed by your political party, but you are not representing the views of your political party.
No.
You are representing the interest of the students.
Yes.
But people are failing to understand that.
No, that is true. That is true. We see that on a daily basis in organizations. Yeah, Mr. Tautone, I would like to thank you very much for sharing your views with us, and good luck with the elections, I guess.
Thank you very much. Like as Robert Sobukwe said, education to us means service to Africa.
Thank you,
But
sir.
now the problem is that the education system is Eurocentric, it's European system.
Yeah,
Now
we
want
need to work on.
Afrocentric.
We need to work on. No, thank you
Yes.
very much, sir.
There's no true socialist revolution without the liberation of women. Train a woman, train a nation.
Right.
As PASMA, we serve, we suffer, we sacrifice, and as the PAC.
Thank you.
Izolate.
All right. Well, that was Jacob Tautone, a political and student activist. I agree with most of what he said there, because my personal belief is that people who may otherwise choose not to vote, believing that their vote is of no value to them or their community, are in fact naive to think so. Primarily because regardless whether one chooses to vote or pass on a vote, people will be elected and people will be sworn into incumbency, and executive decisions that affect you will be made. So my take on the subject is, you should take, this election period as an opportunity for you to send to parliament individuals who are least bad and least corrupt, which is, corruption is one of those things we cry about every day. So, and for me, having, taken part in an election and voted for someone, it gives you a right to criticize them and decisions and policies that they will introduce while they are in power and in parliament, so otherwise, if you don't vote, then I'm like, no. If I'm in government, I'll just say, look, man, I don't owe you anything. Although I won't know whether you voted or not. But having voted, it just sort of gives you that power and entitlement, which is due to you, that, look, man, you owe me. I put you there. So you're going to represent what I stand for and express my views the way I want you to. But I must say, we are just over a month away from the general elections. And honestly, personally, even though I do belong to a political party, which I'm a member of, I'm still undecided on whether they or another party will be getting my vote. It happens. I just find that there is a lot of rot in South Africa, and the parties are no exceptions, whether you love them or not. Corruption is rampant in South Africa. So on the 8th of May, it will be a matter of voting for the party which most represents my views as a citizen. For now, we'll cross the bridge when we get there, as the saying goes. the EFF is most likely to receive my vote, but we'll see. On that note, thanks for listening. Please do engage us on Twitter and Facebook using the hashtag #Opining. And on the next episode, I'm speaking to a fellow podcaster, Mika Mafuyega, and we talk about everything from what she does for a living, the racism she experienced when she was a student at UP, the University of Pretoria, and many other things too. So do look out for that one. Until next time, do take care.
My